When we last left off, we were discussing the Bears-Vikings game from Week 5, but obviously the Bears' offense evolved quite a bit between Week 5 and the late end of the season, so let's take a look now at the Bears' offensive opener against the Buffalo Bills to see what changed in the offense as the year went on. I don't want this video to be longer than 20 minutes, so I'm going to keep the intro short. Let's get straight to the breakdown. So for the first play of this drive, we get a fun matchup to talk about because the Bills are showing a standard cover 2, Tampa 2 style alignment. That's their defense. Bears fans, you should be pretty familiar with this. This is exactly what Matt Eberflus runs. But on the other side of the ball, the Bears could do just about anything from this formation. Obviously, they've got an extra strong side tight end towards the running back side, but Justin Fields has been dangerous on read keepers the entire year. Buffalo's aware of that, but with 3 receivers over here, obviously they could do all kinds of things. Ultimately, they're going to try to catch Buffalo with your standard shot plays. So your normal levels concept would probably have Byron Pringle run a route like this, Cole Kmet would come over the front, and then Dante Pettis would run an in and an out to create a 1, 2, 3 levels flood concept on a quarterback keeper. Spoiler alert, it's a quarterback keeper. But as we see, this play progresses, the handoff comes, Justin Fields rolls out, Pringle stayed back in a blocking role, and Dante Pettis has run a big vertical stem. He's about to hit the biggest out route of his life, but oh, would you believe it? It's a double move. Unfortunately for him, the Bills have the perfect defense dialed up too, and they've got a man covering Pettis really nicely. Back up a little bit, we can see that I'm pretty sure they're in cover 6, and kudos to the Bills defense. This safety immediately takes Kmet in man. Their nickel walks up all the way here, passes him off to the safety, and then this corner does a great job handling Pettis, which leaves Fields with nowhere really to go with the football other than to run it himself. And kudos to Justin Fields, that's something he does really well, taking on Jermaine Edmonds in open space and ultimately getting 7 yards without taking so much as a brush off the top of the helmet to start the drive off with 7 yards off a play that, for all intents and purposes, shouldn't have really worked. If there's one good thing that Justin Fields' athleticism does for this Bears offense, it's that your, let's call it last case check down, is Justin Fields' legs, and that's one of the most athletic quarterbacks in football. So you can call shot plays like this that create all kinds of space underneath, knowing that you're going to start a drive off really healthily so long as you don't take a sack. It's interesting to see the way Getsy played on this during the late end of the year. And play number 2 starts my favorite sequence of this video, because if you thought that playing off of Justin Fields' athleticism stopped at using Justin Fields on these designed rollouts, you'd be crazy. Look at what Buffalo's defense is doing. They've switched out of a 2-high alignment and they're into a 1-high alignment. Where's that extra safety? He's over here. Happenstantially, where is he? If we drew a line, is he to the side that David Montgomery is likely to run on? Not really. He's to Justin Fields' side. The Bills are committing an extra run resource to try to make sure that they take away Justin Fields' pull option, which has victimized so many teams, especially on these game-opening drives. If you don't believe they're there for Fields, that's fine, but I really want you to take a look at this entire side of the formation as this snap kicks off. Justin Fields rears back, asks for the football, and when he gets it, we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 men, eyes on Fields. Montgomery already has the football, but just winding it back a little more so you could see it. Look at all the frozen legs and legs downfield just to make sure the guy in the orange cleats doesn't take the ball, leaving a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on 1, 2, 3, 4 within the box to try to pick up 3 or more yards. And this is a hat advantage for the Bears, just like we talked about with the Vikings. And the Bears lose a bunch of these. Matt Milano immediately punches through Sam Mustipher. Larry Borum can't hold his block against the man that he's got in front of him, but there's just too much space for Bears David Montgomery to not find an extra couple of creases and ultimately churn out the 3 yards he needs to get a first down. That extra attention on Justin Fields opens up all kinds of creases for the Bears running game even when he doesn't have the ball, simply by the attention he draws offensively. And I can't imagine Luke Getsy isn't going to look to build on this in 2023. But the drive's not over yet. So as we get to play number 3, we can see that the Bills have stuck with that single high alignment we just talked about a little earlier. The safety is still committed forward, but the Bears have shifted to a tight condensed set with Justin Fields under center, which technically speaking, doesn't give you a cue as to which side he's rolling out to, nor which side the Bears could attack in the running game. And the Bears attack with one of my personal favorite plays in the running playbook, toss crack. Specifically, let's talk about what this play is trying to do. So the Bears have lined up two tight ends on the strong side of the formation, but they're going to toss it out for a lead attack on the weak side of the defense. Why? Well, when we take a look at Buffalo's defense, not only is their Will linebacker positioned dead center in the middle of the defense with a Sam linebacker rolled over, but that safety we talked about that could be in too high has rolled down towards the strong side. So as you pitch away from these guys, you're going to get N'Keal Harry sealing a defensive end, or cracking him as the play is called. You're going to get one of the most dangerous runners in open space in Braxton Jones out to take on what is likely going to be a corner. And from there, you've got an extra lead blocker in Kari Blasingame that's going to be able to create noise for your runner following behind him. And ideally, you're going to get a couple yards out of this. As we let the play actually roll, it is a chaotic foot race to the left side of the field, and Montgomery is able to cut up field, engage a man, and pick up 5 yards within the melee. Why did it work out this way? If you take a look at the effect that these blocks had, as Harry cracks his defensive end, he's not ultimately able to hold his man, but Braxton Jones comes out, seals 27, and Matt Milano, who's just in the middle of the wash right now, doesn't realize that he and his man both seal the same gap. So once they're both on this side of N'Keal Harry, Montgomery is able to place one foot and get upfield, as Blasingame has basically demanded that extra bodies get into that hole to stop him. And with this crease upfield, Montgomery is able to control the contact that he takes and surge forward for a critical 5 yards to set up a 2nd and 5 well ahead of the chains. It's a nice run play. I love this pretty much anytime it's used. And 2nd and 5 brings us to play number 4, which, because it's 2nd and 5, the Bears could reasonably do anything. They want to take some kind of deep shot downfield, they certainly can. They want to attack with maybe a pin and pull run that gets their right tackle. I mean, they're probably not going to do this with Riley Reef out into open space and David Montgomery onto the edge of the defense. They certainly can do that. With 2nd and 5, you're not behind the chains, but you're not so ahead of them that you have to take a shot. You can do all kinds of things from an offensive perspective, but we know that the Bills are still in that single high formation. They are trying to put a lid on this Bears run game. We can count 8 hats immediately in the box, and the Bills in what looks like a cover 3 defense based on the alignment of their corners. What the Bears have hooked up is, I think, incredibly fun, and shows how much what's called play sequencing goes into these opening drives for somebody like Luke Getsy. And coming right off of the toss play that the Bears just ran is critical. It's something I imagine that Luke Getsy is going to want to use on drives that aren't just the opener in 2023, but that's a whole separate conversation. Watch Justin's footwork on this play, and you'll see why, spoiler alert, this play action rollout works so well. Justin opens up towards this side of the field with Montgomery countering back the other direction. And then once he fakes this flick right there, doesn't it already look like pretty much exactly the same pitch play the Bears just ran? You don't have receivers cracking, of course, but from the linebacker's perspective and what they can see, this looks like exactly the toss run the Bears just ran, even if the offensive line is blocking what looks a little more like inside zone. But the Bears have run inside zone duo style offensive line assignments with a pitch all throughout the season. So they're going to catch these two linebackers cheating hard to that run side. For Justin Fields, though, this is a really easy footwork fake to get him right onto the edge of the defense without any worry about this guy making a play, because he's one of the most athletic quarterbacks in football. And with a blocker fading back towards 50, it's really easy to get Justin on the edge of the defense against that flood concept we talked about earlier. So you're going to have Cole Kmet and Byron Pringle as the 1-2 read, challenging the flat defender over here. And as this corner fades back to stop that exact corner route we talked about at the top of the video, if he clears out and Justin sees his back, you've got a 1-2 man game with Byron Pringle. So you tell me, does Justin make the right decision? Because as he plays a little give and go, remember his line to throw is right here. He wants to stay behind it, not unlike he did with Green Bay. He's going to find a seam to Byron Pringle, who is absolutely wide open now that Cole Kmet has drawn the coverage. So the play action fake gets the linebackers like Tremaine Edmonds moving way out of the play. And then you've got Justin Fields in open space after the motion, throwing to a wide open wide receiver who's caught a corner in conflict. The flat defender does his very best here. I mean, he can't defend everybody. And 30 is doing what he's got to do to try to stop the threat coming to his side. Pringle is only open because that play action fake sold the defense as hard as it did, and it makes an easy play even easier. Justin finds the seam, throws right into it for a nice gain that gets him down, knocking on the red zone door. Which brings us to play number 5. Now the Bills show a 2 high front, but they're actually going to roll out of it back into that 1 high front, despite the Bears using a lot of those inside the box numbers against them. The Bears are going to move Cole Kmet from left to right, basic motion, moves the defense a little bit, but they're not really a man defense. We didn't expect it to shift them much. But this plays another great example of how Justin Fields' threat with his legs is baked into everything that this Bears offense was able to do, even if it was only in spurts last year, and just what the defenses were trying to do to take it away. Because the Bills have a nickel blitz called here because, again, David Montgomery, his likely run direction is across Fields' face, which means Fields' run side, you've got to divide the field every time. If you're a Bears fan, this is the Fields side. This is the running back side. And the Bills are basically saying, if you're going to beat us, you're going to beat us with your running back. We are not going to let JF1 take us for a ride. And unfortunately for the Bills, the Bears use that in maybe the most ham-handed way they can in their favor, because the front side of this run action, which has 2 tight ends on it, is just going to duo block. You're going to see a bunch of combo blocks that aren't even necessarily trying to get up to the second level, but the entire left side of the line is going to pull across in a GT, maybe not counter exactly, but a GT power run, that because Fields is able to freeze both the blitzer and the defensive end, you know that defensive end is going to get killed in the film room for not just chasing the running back and watching Justin Fields. Montgomery is able to run completely untouched all the way down to the 1 yard line. I mean, I guess he gets touched at the 6, but no contact until the 6 yard line because the Bears are able to pull that entire formation across the face of this run defense. This play shouldn't work if this defensive end crashes onto the running back and trusts his corner to stop Justin Fields by himself. But only a few weeks prior, a nickel blitz had tried to stop Fields one-on-one, failed to do so in Green Bay, and that defense gave up a touchdown for it. So you can almost understand his hesitation. Still, in the NFL, hesitation is defeat. Everybody does a pretty good job. Kmet and the tight ends handling their business. Braxton Jones wheels around, hits Matt Milano, and really tries to get to the safety while he's at it. But good run by the entire team overall, but playing off of Justin Fields' legs to get this big gain puts him down to the 1 yard line. Play number 6 I'm going to talk through really fast because it's boring and it's a bummer. The Bears should have scored a touchdown, but Larry Borum, the left guard, gives up one of the most blatant holding penalties that you're going to give up. I mean, 97, I think it is, just tabletops him straight through the offense. It's going to be hard to miss right here, number 75, and that's going to set the Bears back from what was 1st and 1 and a really exciting battle against a Super Bowl contender to 1st and 11. At least we get 3 more plays out of it, right? To respond to that with play number 6, the Bears go 21 personnel. I'm pretty sure they only do this because they're really running out of wide receivers at this point in the season. But you've got Herbert, you've got Montgomery, you've got Kmet, and they line almost everybody out wide. This is going to stretch the Buffalo defense out and try to create some coverage gaps, implying that the Bears are going to throw the ball. And hey, kudos to the Bears. If you're this tight in the red zone, you do need some yards on 1st down. So a basic little flick to the running back like this, getting Sam Mustipher, your center, say what you will, up against a middle linebacker should be a good matchup. Montgomery's going to turn upfield, get the yardage he can, put us in a better down and distance on 2nd and 6 because 1st and 11 with 11 to go is a tough down and distance. Fields' footwork on this is kind of funky because obviously, yes, he's shovel passing, but he lines up inverted, so it's not like he had another option. I guess he could have run the ball, but all the same, it's just a screen. Interesting enough call, but the Bills dropping into cover 2 is nothing unusual. It's what they should have done. Limit the damage the Bears offense can do. If they want to run it, we'll rally tackle them. They want 2nd and 6. It's actually pretty agreeable down and distance for both parties as the Bears get about half their yards back, but they don't penetrate that critical last 5 yards, whereas the Bills force the Bears into a still fairly tough region to score from, 2nd and 6. Again, far outside of that, let's run it once and get to the end zone region as we move on to play number 8. And on play number 8 here, I actually think the Bears get read a little bit. It looks to me like the Bills bluff a man look, and Fields maybe should have recognized that when Dante Pettis' motion here signals clearly this is zone. 7 starts making it look like he's in man before getting a zone call off that clearly, he's not following Pettis, so it's not a man defense. And therefore, when the Bears come out with what becomes a quarterback draw, I really have no idea whether Fields had the option to throw that ball to Pettis or not. Fields' run in the red zone, especially near the end zone, is something that became a Bears staple, so I'm not surprised the Bills were ready for it, especially this close to the end zone. But there's just not much there, because the moment that Pettis' man stays where he was, he's pretty much right in the lane that Fields is trying to run and makes an easy tackle. If Fields had thrown this ball to Pettis, yeah, maybe you don't trust your blockers in front of you, but that's a lot of space for Matt Milano to cover against a wide receiver that, in theory at least, that's a matchup advantage. But I get one of the most athletic quarterbacks in football thinking he's the guy, I'm going to go get this bread, and I'll never fault him for that. I don't know even if he has that throw option or whether that is a coached fake. We'll never know because we don't have access to the playbook, so I'll let you decide one way or another. But either way, that pushes us to play 9 and the final play of this drive. And on play number 9, we get a perfect example of one of the final phenomena I really want to talk about before this 2023 Bears season kicks off, and it's against a very normal down and distance call. It's a Tampa 2 defense, at least I think it is. These end zone defenses can always get kind of tight to read, but Tremaine Edmunds fades up into a pseudo safety position that to me implies that he's playing Tampa 2. And the Bears are going to call what is effectively like a pick play for Dante Pettis, and the Bills are just going to blow this coverage. I do want you to watch that, yes, but we're going to pay a lot of attention to what happens in the pocket, because as Justin Fields throws, you guessed it, a touchdown pass, it wouldn't be dissecting the drive 2 without me picking a touchdown drive. We'll do something else later. I really want you to notice what happened in the pocket. Why didn't Justin Fields get sacked? Frankly, why was his pocket so clean? And it's because when you take a look at these edge rushers, I'm next certain that they're playing what's called contain. So instead of trying to actively pressure Justin Fields, these two are trying to set a hard edge that makes sure that Justin can't leak out of the pocket one way or another to his left or to his right. And it puts all the pressure on Ed Oliver and the one technique to make some hay in the middle. And if they can't do it, then there will be no pressure, because 90 and 50 here aren't attempting to necessarily win. Watch the way that these two gain near instant control of both of their men. It's really obvious with 50, if you ask me, where if he can't beat Riley Reif right now, I don't know what's going on. But he stands up instead and controls both of his run gaps to make sure that Justin Fields is rooted right where he is. Now, 91 creates some pressure from the one technique position, so I don't want to make it sound like everything's hunky-dory for Justin Fields, but the more rushers that his feet can take out of the pass rush, the better chances he's going to have for a cleaner pocket, especially with guys like Nate Davis, what we hope will be a decent Cody Whitehair, and the ever-strong Tevin Jenkins in that interior. It's his rookie tackle and his sophomore tackle in Braxton Jones that may be a bigger threat against some other teams, and the more contained rushes that they have to put out just to keep Justin Fields in check, the better things are going to be for a Bears passing offense that now more than ever needs to be able to throw from the pocket, and a clean pocket will help you do that. So easy touchdown pass to finish things up on a blown coverage, and hey, good quarterbacks have to cash in on blown coverage. So all in all, this is a super fun drive, and it shows the way that Luke Getsy anticipated the ways that opposing defenses would attempt to check the Bears into a box early on in drives and ultimately use those tendencies against them to score. As far as next episodes go, I think I'm going to try to leave the offense alone for a little bit. You may see the occasional breakdown here and there, but we're going to focus more on players. I know you guys want a defensive dissecting a drive, and I'm looking for an actual good example that isn't just the Bears getting blasted, or maybe we do an offensive example where things got shut down so that you could see that, yeah, I mean, to some extent it really was a horse problem more so than the horse's plan. But that's all a conversation for another day. If you liked this video, please give it a like. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, let's grow this thing and hit some really high numbers. But until next time, friends, thanks so much for hanging out with me, and you guys have a great rest of your day.